Psychologists identified 5 rare traits that explain why genuinely good people end up with almost no friends. If you recognize even 3 of these in yourself, science says your brain is wired completely differently than most humans. Stay until the end because trait number 4 reveals the hidden pattern that has been isolating you your entire life without you even realizing it. The first trait. They're highly sensitive processors, Dr. Elaine Irones. Research revealed something fascinating. About 15 to 20% of humans share a trait called sensory processing sensitivity. These people don't just hear conversations, they absorb every emotional undercurrent in the room. A recent study, published in Scientific Reports, found that highly sensitive individuals experience significantly more emotional loneliness than the general population, even when surrounded by people. Why? Because small talk physically exhausts them. Their brains process stimuli more deeply than others, which sounds like a gift until you realize every social interaction becomes an overwhelming flood of information. They're not avoiding friendship, they're protecting their nervous system from overload. But here's where it gets interesting. These same individuals possess something researchers call depth of processing. Studies show they excel at deliberative problem solving, picking up on details others miss entirely. The catch? Building shallow connections feels pointless to them. They'd rather have one friend who truly understands them than 20 acquaintances who only know their surface. This isn't snobbery, it's biology. Their brains are literally wired to crave meaningful depth over social breadth. The second trait throws people off. They're intensely independent. Longitudinal research tracking thousands of adults found that extreme self-reliance correlates strongly with having fewer These individuals learned early that they could survive without leaning on others, and that skill became both their strength and their isolation. Psychology calls this hyperindependence, when asking for help feels more uncomfortable than struggling alone. They be the ones who spend hours solving a problem themselves rather than make a single phone call. It's not pride, it's a protective mechanism formed from past disappointments. Here's what most people miss. Their independence masks a deeper pattern. Research published in personality journals shows these individuals often carry what attachment theory calls avoidant attachment. They witnessed relationships fail, experienced betrayal, or simply learned that vulnerability equals pain. So they built walls that look like confidence, but function as shields. Friendship requires emotional risk, and they've calculated that the math doesn't work in their favor. Third trait. They value quality so intensely that quantity becomes irrelevant. Psychologists distinguish between bonding and bridging relationships. Bridging means lots of casual connections. The person everyone waves to, but nobody truly knows. Bonding means fewer relationships with profound depth. People with few friends aren't failing at making connections. They're refusing to settle for surface-level interactions. Recent studies show they'd rather spend Friday night alone than at a party where every conversation stays safely superficial. But there's a hidden cost. Research demonstrates that people who suppress their need for connection, who convince themselves they refine alone upon experience what psychologists call the empathy imbalance. They give endlessly to others, but never ask for support in return. Over time, they attract people who love what they provide, not who they are. When they finally pull back, they realize something painful. Their friendships were one-sided transactions all along. Fourth, they fear rejection with an intensity that shapes their entire social strategy. Studies on social anxiety reveal that some people run catastrophic mental scripts before every interaction, imagining judgment, misunderstanding, humiliation, so they withdraw before anyone can confirm their fears. The brutal irony. Their fear of rejection guarantees the isolation they dread. Psychology calls this a self-fulfilling prophecy, where protective behaviors create the exact outcome they're trying to avoid. Fifth and final trait. They prioritize inner worlds over external validation. Research shows these individuals derive genuine satisfaction from solitude not as escape, but as preference. They're the ones who choose reading a book over networking events. Not because they're antisocial, but because they find rich internal lives more rewarding than most social interactions offer. Studies indicate this often correlates with higher intelligence and greater Here's what matters. Having few friends isn't a character flaw. It's a different way of moving through the world. The research is clear: these traits don't make someone broken. They make someone selective, protective, and perhaps more honest about what real connection actually requires. If you recognized yourself in these traits, you're not alone in feeling alone. You're part of a scientifically documented minority, navigating a world designed for extroverted abundance. And that's worth understanding, not changing.